What do you get when you combine Diablo-like itemization and progression with Souls-like combat? You get no rest for the wicked. This game went into early access in 2024, but I know a lot of people have been holding off for the co-op update, and here it is. So what exactly is No Rest for the Wicked? Why should you care? Is it the game for you? We'll answer all those questions in this video, and we're going to thank Moon Studios for sponsoring it. But even though this is a sponsored video, I want to point out, I've got 20 hours played on this character. I have 75 hours played in No Rest for the Wicked all time, and honestly, that doesn't even count. I think back when I played it pre-release on a different build. It's a game that I've been talking about every week for the past several weeks in my weekly news video, unsponsored, because I really like and care about this game. And the co-op mode has turned out to be everything that I hoped it would be. Now, I'm someone who isn't that much into Souls-like games. I don't look for super challenging kinds of games. This is the most challenging aRPG from a skill perspective, but the co-op makes it so much easier. Having multiple people to draw aggro from the monsters, like let's say while I'm running from the monster, my partner could be attacking. While my partner is dodging, I'm attacking. Or if one of us dies, well, then the other could resurrect the person instead of having to go back to the last checkpoint. On top of that, they've also added new difficulty options. Now they've added an easy mode. With this easy mode, monsters are going to deal less damage and they're going to have less health. So while maybe the first few levels are a challenge, you can rapidly reach a point where once you get a build going together, once you learn how to use your skills, once you get some decent gear together, the game isn't really that bad, unless you put it on, challenging mode. Or you really try to push yourself to take on content that you're under-leveled for. But at any point, you can just kind of go back and farm up better gear, upgrade your items, take things a little bit slower. This really doesn't have to be a super crazy die 50,000 times, slamming your head against the wall. At any point, you go back and you can farm. Plus, dying with friends is fun. We had this hilarious moment where, like lemmings, one after another, we tried to make a jump and falls to his death, and falls to his death, and falls to his death. 3 people in a row. We just did the same thing, and it was probably the highlight of our play session. Now, when I first started playing co-op, my co-op partner and I, we both went into melee, and I had a big old sword, a 2-hander, and I was hurting her. I was accidentally hitting her with my big swings. So we realized, okay, we need to talk. We need to strategize. And so we got into a cadence of I take my big swing and then I back away and she goes in and she takes a couple swings and she backs away and then I go in, because there's a stamina system, right? You can't just keep swinging forever. Your character gets tired after a couple of swings, needs a second to recover. So we find the rhythm of the combat and we started to get into the flow of the 1-2 punches, and it started to work really well. We also figured, okay, it's going to be a lot better if we're on opposite sides of the enemy as opposed to both on the same side. We're more likely to hit each other. So I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go long. Anytime we're going to go into a room, right? I'm looking at where the enemies are and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go long, you stay close. And so like I rush by the enemy, that distracts the enemy temporarily enough for my partner to go in, take the shot from behind, then I attack. Eventually, though, I moved to a bow build, and yeah, let's just say a lot of my allies have turned into pincushions since then. I played some of this game on stream with DM, and you're probably going to see a video from him in which I am a delightful partner. Now, with this update, they brought back bow builds in a big way. I love bow gameplay. I was really hyped to try this out, and I happened to find this unique bow, the lacquered bow, and it is so cool. I've been upgrading it as much as I could. But basically, right off the bat, this bow comes with 4 different skill runes. Fire arrow, ice arrow, lightning arrow, plague arrow. Your weapons define what your skills are. Now, you could infuse runes or skills into weapons, like weapon bases, to craft your own build, but this unique one, this one specifically comes with these 4 arrow shots. This all different elemental arrow types. And then its unique properties under enchantments. Gain 1 stack of Hunter's Mark for 8 seconds after each different elemental damage dealt. Crit chance increased by 10% for each stack of Hunter's Mark, stamina cost reduced by 9% for each stack of Hunter's Mark, and physical damage increased by 28% if you have 4 stacks of Hunter's Mark. So what you want to do here is pop fire arrow, ice arrow, lightning arrow, plague arrow. That gives you 4 stacks of Hunter's Mark, giving you giga bonuses to everything. Now on top of that, I've imbued into the bow a gem that gives me 10% lifesteal. And I found this bow many levels ago, but I've been upgrading it to increase its damage and keep up with my leveling as well. But the other really cool thing about this bow is that its natural attack shoots multiple arrows at once, and these arrows are homing missiles, so it's basically like having an aimbot. Now sometimes I'll also use my shocking quiver. So you don't have to use a quiver with bows, you have infinite ammo. What quivers do, there's different quiver types. There's lightning, there's fire, there's plague, right? These are going to automatically imbue your arrows. So let's say I did not have these fire arrow, ice arrow, whatever skills, your quiver will naturally do that. So I equip my quiver here, and now, boom, I have these crazy lightning shots. This does really good AoE damage. Then my different armor pieces, they're all magic quality. They can have up to 3 enchantments. Those are affixes. I have one ring here. This is a plagued item. So there's different tiers of gear, right? The purple reddish, these are plagued items, and they come with a bane on them. So the good thing, rune damage increased by 27%. That's a really strong attribute. These plagued items have stronger positives on them, but they come with a negative. Attack damage reduced by 13%. So my rune damage, those are my skill attacks, right? My fire arrow, ice arrow, lightning arrow, they're going to deal 27% more damage, but my regular base attack is dealing 13% less damage. That was a trade-off I was willing to make. And then I just have my different tools here for chopping trees, mining, digging, fishing, and I have a silver axe, I have an iron pickaxe, iron shovel, spruce fishing rod. So you start off with basic tier gear, and you eventually unlock the ability to either you find or you craft or you buy higher tier tools, which are going to have higher durability. I'm at a point now where I chop down a tree with one swing. Now, another thing I'll mention here is that I'm wearing leather armor. I've opted to go for medium armor. You can go for either light, medium, or heavy armor in general. There's also kind of a hybrid. There's like cloth, leather, mesh, and plate. Mesh is halfway between leather and plate. Plate is the heaviest, but this all affects your equip load. So you can see down here, I am still within a normal load, but if I were to equip something a little bit heavier, it would put me into a heavy load. And if I equipped much lighter gear, I would be down into a light load. And this affects how you play. It affects how fast you move. It affects your character's maneuverability, your dodge roll. On a light roll, your dodge roll turns into a quick dash instead. So it's all very different play styles. Then also new with this update, we have a series of embers that do different things. So you have your basic fallen ember. This is going to add enchantments to items. So if I had a magic item that dropped with only 2 out of 3 enchantments, I could use a fallen ember to add a 3rd enchantment. But you could also use it to re-roll an existing enchantment. That's your classic ember, but we've added more of these kind of crafting items. So you have a radiant ember now. This is going to strengthen an enchantment's effect, so it's going to raise the result of an enchantment. You have a corrupting ember. This takes a white item, and it's going to turn it into a plagued item like this with a bane and a buff. You have the awakening ember. This turns a common item into a magical item. Then you have the void ember. This is going to disenchant an item. So let's say you're unhappy with the outcome of your corrupting ember or your awakening ember. Well, you can turn it back into a base. But this is a game in which every type of item has a purpose. So unique items are not automatically the best. Blue items can be best in slot. Every item color can be best in slot, right? Now, a plagued item might be terrible for your build and great for my build. Maybe the bane that you have is not so bad for me. So over here, for instance, we have the bane of drain, focus, and combat. Focus is your mana. So if you're a build that doesn't really care about focus as much, or perhaps has a huge amount of focus generation, maybe you can afford to have focus drain. It's all about weighing the pros and the cons. Now, even white items have a purpose. White items can have 4 gems slotted into it. Magic items, any other kind of item, can only have 1 gem. And gems can do a whole lot of different things here. Gain fire infusion, deal fire damage on a block, increase your physical damage, gain bleed, gain lifesteal, gain XP, gain focus regeneration, gain resistance. So they really found a way to make every item type have some worth and value to it. Now I'll walk you folks briefly through our little town of Sacrament and how our upgrades are going. So we have our sawmill here, we have our crafting table. This is where we would craft certain things like furniture for our house for storage. But the sawmill here, we can put some birch wood. It's going to turn into birch planks, which is a different crafting resource that we'll use for building things. We can put some sap in so that the crafting time gets shorter. And so that's to produce some raw materials. Over here, here's the person who sells different runes. Here's where we are going to enchant our gear. We're going to infuse gems into our gear. Coming down this way, we got our blacksmith over here. So we have our forge where we can craft things. I've learned the recipes to make a silver pickaxe and a silver axe. Actually, did I make myself a silver pickaxe? I didn't. I should make myself. Let's do that right now. Silver pickaxe. Boom. Demonstration right before our very eyes. That is, I believe, the top tier of tool, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to equip that right now. Very nice. Very pleased with that. Then in the furnace, this is where we are melting down materials into bars. So let's get some more silver bars going there and put some coal in there to make that go faster. Then downabouts over here, we have our alchemist table. I don't have any plans that I've learned, but here's where you can craft different kinds of potions and such. There's a lot of different consumables in this game, both in the forms of potions that'll give you various buffs for a short amount of time, as well as one-time consumables like bombs to throw on enemies if you want to have a little bit of a ranged option in an otherwise melee build. And then up over here we have our seamstress. This is where I've been going to basically upgrade my armor. Tanning rack over here, we can set some leather to be made, and over here we would be able to spin some cloth, right? So overall our town is in a pretty steady stream of upgrades. Here is the main waypoint in the town. They're called Whispers, and we actually had an incident happen where right now I'm on a server with 2 other players, and one player went ahead and bought a house. So there are different houses available in here. Every one of these little symbols corresponds to a house. And so we want to have our own house so that we can set up all our own chests and crafting stations, right? So those crafting stations I just showed you, those are the public ones, but you can make your own crafting stations in your own house eventually. So one of my buddies went ahead and made this purchase of the manor, the biggest, most beautiful of the houses, where we've laid out all of our storage chests here to basically dump our loot and stay vaguely organized. But then someone else joined the server while he was offline, and this person did not have access to the house yet. So in the meantime, so that we could keep playing, I ended up going to buy another house. So now we have 2 houses for no real reason, but that's the kind of shenanigans that sort of happen, and it's part of the beauty of the game is there's no guardrails, there's no safety rails, right? There's friendly fire. You can hurt each other in practice outside a very early game. The amount of damage we deal to each other isn't really that bad, but it's that kind of game where you could hurt each other. You could knock each other off cliffs. You can steal each other's loot because we all see the same loot drops, right? It's 4 people per server max. There's only 4 people who could be playing in a server at any given instance. You control who you invite in. There's no random people joining in. So you choose the people that you play with, and it lets you just josh around with your friends. So if you want to go ahead and buy up every piece of property, you can do that. Buy every piece of property and then extort your friends for access to the house. You can do that. You can do that while they're offline because this is a persistent server. Anyone can log in at any time and play. Even if it's my server, I made it, I log off, it is a dedicated server that continues to exist and I pay $0 for. I don't know how they do it, but they've solved creating dedicated servers for free on a per user basis. I'm in my friend group, I'm the one who always has to figure out the port forwarding and download the specific dedicated server files and get the config up, and then my friend is messaging me, hey, your server's down, could you bring the server back up? And I gotta figure out, okay, why did the server crash? Let me run the bat file and reboot the server. This just works. It's magic. I don't understand how they can afford to just give people free dedicated servers when literally every other game makes you have to pay for dedicated servers. And let's say while you're offline, your friends progress the story and you're like, oh man, now I missed a cutscene. Well, just go into this tab over here, click story, and you can watch back any cutscene that has happened. And the shared loot in this instance, it means as well that like anytime I'm finding something, I'm thinking, okay, what items am I using? What items are my partners using? Okay, you're on like a super heavy armor build. Oh, here's some heavy armor that might be an upgrade for you. Oh, you're on a two-hander build. I just found this good two-hander. Is this better than what you have? As we're working together, we're like saving up our money to be able to afford to buy a house in this town. We're working together on our town upgrades for all the different crafting stations, and it's like, oh man, you know, I'm missing a couple silver bars for this. Does anyone have any silver bars? Oh, you know, I'm holding on to one right now. I'm gonna come right over. Or early on, before people really understood the importance of all the different materials, it's like, hey, did anyone see that stack of, you know, whatever? And it's like, oh, I sold it to the vendor. And I'm like, no, I needed that to upgrade the things. And they were like, you told me I could sell any of the gear. And I'm like, yeah, I meant the gear, the items, not the materials. Like altogether, it just affords for many more moments of feeling like you are playing with friends. I feel as though most modern aRPGs just, like you party up with people and you're just all clicking your buttons and you're barely playing together. The experience isn't really all that different whether you're playing by yourself or with other people. You just have maybe like, okay, I'm talking to someone while I'm playing, but you know, they could be playing a different game and it doesn't make all that much difference. Whereas with No Rest for the Wicked, the multiplayer, the co-op, you are indelibly having a shared experience with other people where what everyone is doing has a profound effect on everyone else's gameplay experience. But yeah, it means that people can log in at different times and, you know, someone could go and chop down some trees, you know, to help out the town and go ahead and plug away at the town upgrades. This right here is the fellow that you visit for getting the town upgrades done. They're called build projects. So 3 ranks for every craftsman. We've got everything to rank 2 at this point, and some of them on rank 3 as well. Some of them are one-time things, so gallows, scaffolding, lodging, staircase, rookery, elevator. These are just things that help make navigating the town a little easier. We've built an elevator, we've, you know, built new passages here and there, and additionally, as you get deeper and deeper into the game, more of the map sort of unfolds, which is a really neat thing, is that you keep revisiting, or you can revisit familiar locations, but new paths have opened up. Places that you've maybe could see before but couldn't access, now you can access it. And there's so much verticality to the map. So many times when you're high above and you can see things like, oh wow, that's the starting zone. That you know, where I very first moment that I loaded into the game, that's that beach, and now we're like way above and we're looking down on it. There's like not an inch of wasted design space in this map. Now folks, this game is going to be 40% off until February 5th. This is the lowest the price will ever be before the 1.0 launch. So there's no point holding off for a sale. The only time you'll ever possibly get the game for this cheap is going to be maybe sometime after launch, some crazy sale, who knows. There's not going to be any more wipes before launch. It's early access, but there's so much content. Again, I'm at 20 hours and we're not even done with the current campaign content. And even if we were, we can still keep farming gear. We can still play the Crucible. This is this roguelite dungeon mode. You go down, it's randomized levels, randomized monsters in those levels, and you get to pick upgrades as you're going along, modifying, enhancing your build, adding affixes. No 2 runs are the same. You know, they announced a couple weeks back that they've reached 1 million copies sold so far in early access, but I just know that now that they hit their co-op launch, this is something that a lot of people have been waiting for, and I think those numbers are exploding right now. These days, this game has been on the Steam best-selling titles list. And one thing that's really important to note is, yes, this is early access, but it is super polished. The early access is really just because they want to take in community feedback and shape the game in the direction that the community wants. And I know I've been following this game quite religiously since early access and before, honestly. And they've made some significant changes. in the direction of what the community has been asking for. And even though co-op is the big star of this update, the game is fully balanced for both solo play and group play. They've made many changes to solo play based on community feedback. So folks, if this sounds like the kind of game that interests you, I encourage you to check out No Rest for the Wicked. Click the link in the description below. There really is no other game out there like this. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, share it, and subscribe to join Rhykker's Raiders for more gaming content.